Throughout history, many forms of torture have been used. Breaking bones, skinning people alive, various other bodily torments. But none, perhaps, have been as slow and merciless in decaying both the body and soul as scaphism. Imagine this. You're trapped in a wooden box. Not just any box, but one that hugs your body tightly, squeezing you between two hollowed logs. Only your head, hands, and feet are left exposed. The sun scorches your skin. The air is thick with flies. You're force-fed, not with food to nourish you, but with milk and honey, over and over again. You cannot escape, cannot stand, cannot sleep. You are slowly rotting from the inside out. This is not a scene from a horror movie. This is scaphism, perhaps the most grotesque execution method ever devised by man. What is scaphism? Also known as the boats. Scaphism, from the Greek scaphos, meaning boat or trough, is a method of execution reportedly practiced in ancient Persia. The victim was sandwiched between two wooden canoes or logs, tied together with the person's limbs protruding. It started with what seemed like strange confinement, but it would soon descend into one of the most horrifying forms of torture ever imagined. Step by step through the nightmare. 1. Force feeding. The victim is compelled to consume vast quantities of milk and honey. This not only causes severe diarrhea, but also turns the enclosed wooden chamber into a festering cesspool of filth. The body begins to bloat and soil itself repeatedly. 2. Coated in honey. Milk and honey are poured over the victim's exposed face, arms, and legs, soaking the skin, clogging the nostrils, and seeping into the eyes and ears. This is not mercy. This is bait. 3. Insect swarms. The sweet mixture attracts flies, mosquitoes, wasps, and ants in unbearable numbers. The victim's body becomes a living buffet. Insects crawl into every open wound, every crevice. Eyes, mouth, genitals, anus, laying eggs burrowing into flesh. 4. Rot and decay. As the excrement accumulates inside the sealed wooden casing, bacteria flourishes. The body becomes septic, maggots hatch, worms slither into organs. The person, still alive, literally begins to rot from the inside. 5. Extreme weather exposure. By day, the victim suffers under the sweltering sun. By night, freezing temperatures gnaw at the skin. Sunburn, dehydration, cracked lips, and hallucinations follow. Yet every day, more milk and honey are forced into the body, fueling the torment. 6. Animal attacks. In some accounts, rats and marsh-dwelling creatures are attracted by the smell of blood and decay. They bite, chew, and claw at the exposed limbs and face. 7. Psychological collapse. This isn't merely physical torture. Scaphism breaks the spirit. Alone, immobilized, filthy, and eaten alive, many victims likely went mad long before death claimed them. Historical background. Fact or horror story. The most detailed account comes from Plutarch, the Greek historian, in his biography of the Persian king Artaxerxes II. According to Plutarch, a soldier named Mithridates was sentenced to scaphism for falsely boasting that he killed the king's brother. Mithridates reportedly survived 17 days before dying. Centuries later, John Zonaras, a Byzantine historian, described the same method, emphasizing how flies, worms, and rot became part of the execution. Some sources even claim Parysatis, the king's mother, ordered it personally. But there's a mystery. No Persian sources ever confirmed scaphism. Historians suspect Greek authors might have exaggerated or even fabricated the story to portray Persians as cruel barbarians. Whether fully true or not, the horror of the story ensured its place in dark folklore for centuries, a tool of terror, not just death. Scaphism wasn't just about ending a life, it was about making a public example. It turned nature into a weapon, transforming the body into a battleground between rot and consciousness. Witnesses would see a man being devoured alive, slowly, helplessly, over days or even weeks. It was psychological warfare, a warning that treachery would be met not just with death, but with utter dehumanization. Cultural echoes. Through the ages, early Christian martyrdoms described similar tortures, being tied to trees, covered in honey, and left to insect attacks. In medieval texts, scholars and inquisitors used Scaphism as a reference point for cruelty. In literature, the grotesque execution reappears, most notably in Apuleius's Metamorphoses and even early Christian legends. Comparisons can be made with Roman crucifixion, public and slow, but less invasive. Japanese swamp tortures, criminals tied in stagnant waters to rot. Unit 731, Y2 Japan. Biological experiments involving live human decomposition. Scaphism is a reminder that cruelty knows no cultural bounds. Whether entirely true or an exaggeration, it embodies the darkest potential of human punishment, a death designed not to end life, but to stretch it into a prolonged nightmare. It is a warning from history, showing what happens when power is exercised without empathy, and death becomes a stage for horror.